Finishing any project that is started. Every time I finish an album, it's a really good feeling that it's actually been completed. It's such a relief.
And how she was before the years flew by, and how she was when she was beautiful. She sang the letter on.
You suffered a fate in the early goings of your career of being somewhat of a pin-up girl in the British pop mags. How did you deal with that?
I think what worried me was that it was going to stop people taking my music seriously. I've always found it very complimentary if people say that they find me attractive. And my worry is really that it would get in the way of my music. It's not that I find that so much of a problem as that people wouldn't accept my music, but I don't think that has been the problem. I think people do seem to accept my music for its sake.
And does your sexuality have a role in your music?
Well, I think that's something I find very confusing, because I think the essence of all art is sensuality and sexuality. I mean, I don't suppose I understand it fully, but I always tend to think that's something that's projected, and that sensuality is really where art is at. It's a much more subtle form of expression. Two parts of me, one that's a very social beast, and the other side of me is probably very quiet and likes to work alone, and in fact can't really work if there's more than a few people around.
Do you have special work habits that you subscribe to? You seem like a very disciplined artist, just judging by your work. Do you have a special place you go to work, a certain environment at certain hours? Do you do that?
I think the studio has become that disciplined place that I can go to now. It used to be my music room wherever I had the piano, and I think it's helped me tremendously to actually have an environment where I can go to work. It just makes it that much easier for me to concentrate.
Yeah, and do you set hours that you go there?
Not actually set hours, it depends how I feel, but normally I'll go there and work for a certain amount each day, depending on how well the ideas are coming through. So it depends.
He's very understanding, he's so aware of all my situations.
It seems to me that a lot of the early songs that you wrote had to do with what I might call sort of classroom dreaming, sort of daydreaming about exotic lands and far-off places and England's history and that sort of thing. But the last album, The Dreaming, was quite a radical departure from that. Now, how do you explain that?
I think it started to happen on the third album, but it was really only in a couple of tracks. And I think things like Breathing, Army Dreamers, The Infant Kiss, they were, in a way, starting on that same route. And I think that's the sort of material, really, that I wanted to try and get to. And on the last album, it was definitely sort of reaching a point where I was feeling pleased with my work artistically, which was a change.
To symbolise, keep alive the territorial war. Erase the claim the place and say we dig for our dangles in the bottle and push them from the pull of the bush.
As early as about 1980, you were experimenting with the Fairlight computer musical instrument. Has that changed the way you approach creating music?
Yes, very much so. I think it was one of the best things to happen for me alongside rhythm machines. Not only does it help with the initial writing process, where I'm getting associations of the sound straight away as I start writing the song, but also from an arrangement point of view, where if I want strings or brass on a track, I can work out an arrangement on the Fairlight with that particular sample sound, and then if I want, get the real musicians in to redo it.
Yeah, well, your use of it's become more and more extensive, but you were, I think, one of the first artists that I ever knew, along with perhaps Peter Gabriel, who used the Fairlight at all.
I was very lucky in that I was at the studio where they decided to demonstrate the machine at a very early stage. It had only been in the country for a while, they were just setting up the company. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that I had to have one. I mean, it was going to become a very important part of my work.
Sunday my feet are Egypt mud. It all goes slow. I don't know why I'm crying. Am I suspended in breath? Until I'm ready for you. Until I'm ready for you. Can have it all.
All the voices that come in, you're using, I guess, this, is it called a Fairlight or an emulator?
Fairlight, yes.
Where you get to play people's voices on your own and strange sounds taken from, there's one that seems like a transmission from a NASA flight taking the 9th orbit around the Earth, and your voice made into water. And I guess you've only just started to experiment with it. You had begun really on the dreaming, but...
That's right. I think really what made the big difference to me was becoming involved in the production, taking over the production. Then I had control of every area of the song. And there's no doubt that production has a big effect on a song. It can ruin a good song. It can make not a very good song really quite good. So I think from a writing point of view, the more control you have over that whole area, hopefully the more direct your expression is, it's more how you want it to be at the end result.
My excitement turns into fright. My words made of what am I gonna say? Mustn't give the game away.
After the last album, I really wanted to do something very different, and it took me a long time to relax and find another area of music that was different from the last album.
Had you found yourself under an enormous amount of pressure, the expectation perhaps of the record companies and the public and the people who write about music and so on?
Yes, I think it always does put a pressure on you, but I think the main pressure is, in a way, to come up with music that's good and interesting and different from the last album. And that's the pressure in a way that I think I put myself under, because it's a writing situation. It's when the album is actually released that I think the pressure comes in from the media and other people in a big way.
If only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building.
My favorite video is Running Up That Hill, and I have to ask you, who did the choreography for that?
It was a lady called Diane Gray-Cullett, and she is incredible, most beautiful dancer, and she was a lot of fun to work with. We got on really well, and I think from the minute we started till we finished working together, we didn't stop laughing. It was one of those really fun relationships.
Well, the dance in it is just beautiful. I think it's one of the best videos I've ever seen that is able to get dance in it and show it off to its best advantage.
It's really nice that you think that, because very much what we wanted to try and achieve was to make it a serious piece of dance, which I didn't feel I'd done up until that point. I'd played around with dance, but in a very sort of theatrical way, and in some ways it was sort of saying goodbye to that dancing side of me by doing it, you know, in a very sort of pure way. It's very much a pure dance video without any theatre or anything attached. And because I feel very much a shift now from dance into film imagery. So they're two very different things. Not that dance couldn't still be incorporated, but it's not the same attitude.
Oh, here I go. It's coming for me through the trees. Oh, help me, someone, help me, please. Take my shoes off and throw them in the lake, and I'll be 2 steps on the water.
I think anyone that has any kind of creative outlet is uneasy, and that's what makes them need to express themselves. I think all human beings are uneasy on some level.